Hello and welcome. Bear and I just want to say hello. And we are going to talk a little bit about forgiveness. Mm, right, Bear? So, anyway, hello and welcome to another video about the F word. The ugly, scary pit in our gut word forgiveness. So I'm going to get really serious and because it is serious. And you know me pretty well to be watching this video. You probably know that I am very motivational, inspirational, actually. And I truly believe in alchemy, turning our pain into strength. And I've been doing that since I was a little girl. And it's my gift. But sometimes before, well, always, before we can turn that hay into gold, the straw into gold, or you know, the pain into strength. We have to touch the pain. We have to put that dry clay in our hands and add tears to it and sweat to it and get it moldable so that we can sculpt something valuable from the clay. So I'm going to go a little deeper. I'm leaning in. Please listen closely because if you're watching this video tonight, my spirit told me, my heart told me it's time to go deep on video. And usually my one-on-one clients, of course, you guys get this work. But this one is supposed to go out to every single one of my clients and anyone really. Um, it's important to forgive. And it's not just for the reasons like people will say, you know, you've read that book and you watched that podcast and they were talking about like forgiveness is for you. It's not for the other person. It doesn't mean that they get to come back and be whatever they were to you and do those things again. That's not what forgiveness is. And if you need to forgive yourself, like that doesn't mean you're off the hook. Like you should still like there's all these messages out there that you should still not forget. You know, I forgive, but I don't forget. And I don't believe in all that. I believe it's very limited, it's very intro, it's very low level learning. And it's hurting people by thinking that that's all forgiveness is about. If that's all forgiveness is about, it's going to keep us feeling incomplete about the whole subject. And I want to tell you this, and this is incredibly important. When someone comes to me because of grief and loss, I identify the pain. I let them see that the pain is what we need to touch. We need to touch the clay and add attention to it. Add our sweat, add our tears, be in it for just a moment. Totally feel it. Add the water and create moldable clay. And as we work together, we figure out how to transform it into a message that now serves us. A relationship that's either healthier because of healthier boundaries, because we truly have felt the pain and found a way to insert a gift of understanding how that person, or how we, if we were the offender, how we were a teacher to someone else. And that's, I'm telling you, when you have to forgive yourself for doing something to someone else, that to me is way harder than forgiving someone else for what they've done to us. So they're totally different things, but that boils down to one thing. We need to be in the moment when we did that thing or that thing was done to us. We need to feel it. We need to feel the heartbeat of it, the pain of it. We're not going to stay there long, but we need to completely feel it in order to get all of the clay in our hands and breathe. And then start to alchemize, start to ask yourself high level questions. I was watching an interview, several interviews from one of my new online mentors is DeMartini, Dr. John DeMartini. Anyway, one of the maybe the most profound researcher on human behavior in the world alive today. So far from my studies, that's what I'm seeing. Um, Pretty profound. He's to me a little bit closer to the Einstein level. Out out there, but really because he's got profound information for humanity. But anyway, he's one of the top 10 people that I'm working towards downloading more from. But and no one is perfect, and I'm not co-signing anything. I'm just saying that I'm learning and I'm always gaining more to give to you. To give, I'm always gaining more so I can give more. And it's what I plan to do the rest of my life. You know, I'm a student of life, and I love being here, and I love offering more and gathering more and offering more. It's like my farm, you know, like my land. I get to, you know, plant seeds and nurture them and read and be a part of workshops and have my mentorships and start downloading more and more and more. And then, you know, it bears fruit, and I get to give that to you. So anyway, one of the things that John DeMartini, anyway, he said was high, the quality of our lives is directly correlated to the quality of our questions. I'm bringing this back to forgiveness, which is not what he was talking about in uh, the interview that I saw, but he, that was a very important thing, and I think it could be inserted into the topic of forgiveness. I can. So the quality of our questions. So if the quality of my questions are, why did that person do this to me? Or why did I do this to that person? Let's go a little higher level. Okay. Let's go into, let's say, why did this person do that to me? Let's go bigger than that. A higher level question is, what can I learn from what that person did to me? What can I learn from what I did to that person? What can I learn? What gifts are there? Um, how can I, this is one of the questions I always ask myself, how can I allow this to make me a better version of myself? So right now I have a right leg cast on from going to a yoga class and doing the wrong, you know, dancing around in a little circle for less than 5 minutes, and I tore my Achilles heel. And interesting because I have gained so many gifts from this, so many. I am not spending so much time traveling on the road, although there's some disadvantages to that too. But I am absolutely did another deeper level of healing and forgiveness. Uh, so anyway, that's a longer story, but left and right hemisphere of the brain. So the left part of the brain controls the right side of the body. My boot actually is on the right side of my body. Okay. Left side of the brain is the masculine energy. It's the doer, it's the task-oriented self, which in me is incredibly strong. I'm very task-oriented, I'm very independent, I'm very intrinsically motivated. I have the masculine alpha, you know, the alpha male, whatever those sayings are, which I actually have a whole nother topic about what that means. But I'm strong in that, but I have not been doing enough of my feminine, my right brain. Okay. Right brain controls the left side of the body. That side's doing fine. um, but anyway, so I needed to slow down and continue my meditations and earthing and all the different things that help me just get into receptive, softness, meditative, channeling kind of flow. And keep the balance. And that particular week when this happened, it had been 2 weeks of me not keeping the balance. I was just kind of freight training a lot of things that I had a crunch line that I created that was, you know, not easy to maintain. So anyway, what I divert. So I digress. So let's go back. So quality of our questions, the quality of my questions are, how can I make this, whether it's a forgiveness to self or forgiveness to someone else, how can I make this cultivate some kind of learning from it? So immediately, I want you to think of right now someone that you have, yeah, you think of them, you kind of you feel like you forgive them, but there's a sense of fear, uneasiness, uncomfortable feeling, maybe a shortness in your breath. Now, I want you to know that you don't have to change your position, and sometimes no contact is best contact. Okay. So, this is not about changing the dynamic of you and the other person necessarily, but it is about you seeing them as a villain and you as a victim. So long as they are a villain in your story, you are a victim. So long as they are a villain, you are a victim. I'm going to say it again. If there's no more villains in your life, you're never going to be a victim again. Ever. I'm telling you, we're all students and we're all teachers. And sometimes we come as teachers into someone's life in the contrast, not as the cheerleader, the motivator, the inspirational mentor in their life. Sometimes it's a contrast. Sometimes we hurt them pretty badly by not showing up in the ways that was helpful to them. Okay. And sometimes they did that to us or to someone else. They are all teachers and we are all teachers. Okay. So, um, I've been hurt pretty badly or disappointed pretty badly by certain relationship experiences that I've had. And now I can look back at any of those experiences and I truly see they came into my life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime to help me become the strong, the courageous, the self-loved person that I am today. They helped cultivate in me a voice that I didn't know I had that says, I don't need you. I love you. I enjoy you. I honor the opportunity to connect. When we choose relationships, not from void or obligation, but from present tense, available choice, because you add value and they add value to you, that's healthy. Okay. So, all right. So a couple things, a couple takeaways. There are stages in forgiveness, by the way. There is like a whole there's therapy approaches and things just on forgiveness. Um, I think it's limited because here's the next pro tip. Here's the next high level. Okay. So I'm just warming you up, but here we go. You can hear like people say, oh, stand in front of the mirror and say, and do your high five. Okay, Mel Robbins, the 5-second rule, do a high five. And there's some like goodness in it. And I love that. And you can on the outside impact things on the inside. However, if you start with an authentic inside, your high five is not going to have so much resistance. You're literally going to be glowing and you've already, like, for example, if when you wake up in the morning and you wake up before your feet touch the ground, you've already imagined, you've already imagined the best version of yourself. And let's say you've done that And you're just laying there. And right as you wake up, by the way, it's the most suggestible time in your brain. So it's a good thing to not go for the phone or for alarm, but to like lay there for at least a minute or two and just imagine your best next physical, intellectual, emotional, spiritual, social, financial self. Just imagine him or her in your mind. See what she or he is wearing that day. See how she's talking, walking, what he's thinking, just imagine. So the right brain thinks in images. So use that. So anyway, um, before you go to that mirror and do a high five, which you feel resistance about, like if you were going to try that practice, Mel Robbins high five thing, uh, and there is science that shows that when you do a high five, like there is a level of, there's a little dopamine release. It's a little like that means I did good somehow, and so that's good. But if you start from the place before your feet have touched the ground, right when you wake up, and you get a little spark of feeling in your heart that like, oh, that's me. I like that next best version of me. And it feels delicious. And there's a little energy kick. You've attached a high vibration emotion. So I created an equation and it's called, well, anyway, I'll talk about that in another one, but there's an equation to how to do this. But when you do that, and then you go to the mirror, so because you started from the inside out, you go to the mirror and you high five and it's like, okay, whatever, hi guy, hi girl, hi guy, and you're like there, right? Um, and it was easy and it wasn't like there wasn't so much resistance. Well, now let's go back to forgiveness. If I did an exercise 20 years ago, okay, and I had everyone in the room, uh, um, I, everyone had little paper plates, and I poured little sand in each of their plates. And I asked them to write the name of someone in the sand that they wanted to forgive. It could be themselves, it could be mom, it could be dad, it could be a sibling, it could be their partner, it could be their child, it could anything, God, whatever. But to write the person or that, that they felt like they had most unforgiveness for. And some people did it no problem. And the idea is to we did a little exercise and to try to find the gifts and see instead of like demonize the person or like black or white distorted thinking like this is just all bad, this person was all bad, there was nothing good about them at all. There's always something, even if you didn't know them, there's something. They came into my life and they taught me how to forgive, or it could be something like that. Anyway, and then you shake it and you erase it, but it's not gone. It's just still in the sand. But now it doesn't have control over you. So that's the idea. But one person in particular had a hard time writing the name. She couldn't do it. She started shaking. She's like, I can't. I feel like if I do, he'll come back. So what I'm getting at is if we don't have the internal change within us, if we don't feel safe enough, if our survival modes and fight, flight, freeze, or please, usually fight, flight, or freeze for this kind of thing, is coming up, uh, our brain's going to shut down. The amygdala in our brain is just going to be like, hey, no, And the executive functioning in our frontal cortex is just going to say like, no, you need to survive. So like, go ahead and feel your feelings and not do anything like solution oriented, it'll kind of sound like that. You won't even know it's happening. It's just what humans go through. Um, so what I teach is how to get into a place. So here's the high level. Here's the pro tip. When we see insert, so we get into relaxed state, our body's in a very relaxed state, and we see that person had good in them, or there was something that you gained from it. One of the two. Um, Something that you gained from it. When you can remove yourself just far enough, you can start to see like, I learned how to use my voice. I created boundaries after that. I didn't, I didn't put up with anything after that, or I became a better partner after that. Um, I learned to listen after that. When we start to see that, like, so when I was in a very emotionally abusive relationship, I was to the point where I would I would look in the rearview mirror anytime I went to a grocery store or anything. I was always thinking like, oh my God, like, is he following me? I was just, it was intense. And so when I go back to one of those moments, I'm like, wow, what did insert the gift? What is the gift? What is the gift? Um, I absolutely learned my voice. He showed up one day with tears and flowers and everything, and I'm like, yeah, no, like, yeah. So he was never physically abusive, but his emotional abuse was off the charts. So I um I was afraid he would try to seduce me, get me into the, like, oh my God, he loves me so much, and oh, and so his, and all that stuff. And the next thing I know, like, Dr. Jekyll's back, and I would be trapped in the house with that energy. Um and so he came to the door and I roared. I said, in a tone I have very, very few times in my life ever heard, stop harassing me. And if you don't leave now, I will call the police. And when I was able to do that from such a very concrete place, I learned something about myself. I learned how strong I was, that I love myself more than the whole cycle of emotional abuse. The good times were never going to be worth the bad times. I learned that about myself. I learned that, I'm sorry, no matter how great you love me when you're good, it should not be at the cost of abuse. And I hope you get care. And I hope you get, your childhood trauma resolved. I also learned that I didn't want to, um, I wanted to select more carefully a future partner. Not just whatever my heart fluttered, blah, 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 blah. No, like sometimes when your heart is fluttering, it's because your central nervous system is actually telling you you're in danger. That this person is easily going to abuse, lie, cheat, steal, or hurt you, or abandon you. Like central nervous system, it tells us when we're in danger. It tells us sometimes we think it's love. Mm, sometimes it's not. It's actually fear, adrenaline. Okay. So he's one of my greatest teachers, and I love him so much, just so you know. Do I ever, do I have any um inclination to see him in person? No. If I did, would it be an issue? No, because I have now built not survival mode, because that's where you're actually more insecure and you're in more danger to like roar or like retreat or something, right? Fight, flight, freeze, or please. So now I'm more secure. So I could be like, yeah, that was an interesting path we had there for a little bit many years ago. But yeah, you're still teaching me things as I grow. I look back at the pages of that relationship and I'm like, oh, well, this can help so and so. Like, I'm so glad I went through that. So I totally understand what it's like to lose yourself in someone who's really lost themselves. And so, like, I love the fact that I have those experiences now. But at the time, boy, right? We don't see it that way. We see it like, oh my God, this person is. No, that person brought a lot of good, maybe in my case, a lot of good, a lot of good, but also a lot of things that were very incredibly challenging. So, my gift to you today is to try to see, first of all, did you exist and were you valuable? So here's some high quality questions. As DeMartini would say, the higher there's a direct correlation between the quality of your life and the quality of your questions that you're asking. I'm not sitting around years later asking why didn't this person love me the way I deserved. No. Uh-uh. Why did he lie and cheat and all the things? No. He did what he's supposed to do for his journey. I conjured up an incredible opportunity to grow, and I'm so thankful for it. My biological father left when I was 2. I was able to talk to him when I was 34. And I said, listen, he's out, darling, I'm sorry. I'm crying, I was crying on the phone. And I said, listen, I truly believe that because of the loneliness and the lack of having that, biological father, I had, instead of one, I had many. I believe you were supposed to come into my life and provide that physical fruition of me as human being on this planet in this way, and that other people were going to nurture and support and guide. Um, and I truly believe that that was part of my destiny here in this lifetime, that I would learn about the sadness and loneliness and incompletion feelings and how the spectrum, right? So that I can show people the spectrum of wholeness. And I also told him that I hope he didn't abandon his other kids, and that if he could do anything for me, it would be to do that. That if the relationship with their mom and him didn't work out, that he would still, nurture those relationships, which I'm sure he will. Um, so ultimately, he's not bad, and I'm not incomplete. He is good, and he is doing the best with his path. And I am good and doing the best with my path. And you are good. And everyone was born a baby, a crying, innocent baby who played with his toes or her toes and and cooed and cawed. Okay. I have worked with people coming out of prison for a couple of decades from things that, you know, you would probably see in an R-rated movie. And I was told, when I first started as a therapist 20 something years ago, and I was told, working under someone else's license at the time, I was gaining hours anyway. And I didn't know how I would find good in some of the things, the people that I was assigned to working with, and how I would be of benefit. And I realized something immediately. Before I went into that therapy room and shut the door behind me, hoping I would be okay, I realized that all I had to do was remember or imagine who they were before they got hurt, even if it was just them as a baby, or maybe even in the womb. Sometimes for some people, they've been traumatized even before birth. So, um, and what I was able to do was show them the page before the trauma. Before the trauma. If I were the only person on the planet that showed them they are not their trauma or drama, they are how they overcome it. They are who they were before it. And they are better because of it. I've completed the gift, the training of how to regift ourselves what we didn't have a full set of cards. We didn't get a full set of cards to play the game with the most, promising, opportunities. So go back. So go back and rewrite your emotional story. Rewrite it. No one on the planet has to change before you start to heal. For you to heal. No one has to be, my dad never has to show up. And he never has. For me to be whole and complete. What do I open the opportunity for such? Yes. And I'm certain I'll have that opportunity at some point. But even if I don't, I'm whole and complete. That would just be another added joy to my life. You see? So if now the question is not, do we forgive ourselves or the person? The question is, here's a high level question. What can we learn so that it wasn't a mistake in our mind? Instead, it was an incredible gift. It wasn't a mistake. No relationship you've ever had, no challenge you've ever had was a mistake. You see how that mistake feels in your heart? Feels like, I feel I shouldn't have gone through that. Okay, now try this. Big rock, turned it over. Inside was a beautiful amethyst gem. It was an ugly rock before. Turned it in. I've turned it over. I've seen that it made me more independent. It made me more strong. It made me more kind. It made me more patient, whatever the thing. Find it, alchemize that, attach to that emotional energy, override, keep overriding your systems. You do that from the inside. Now you come to relationships with more to give. More to give, more to receive. You're not waiting for the other shoe to drop when things are good. You literally are not holding all this space of unforgiveness for yourself and others that is creating it's like holes in the bucket, like you keep filling in with affirmations and happy good books and Tammy time and all the things. But if we don't actually start filling up that bucket, the holes in the bucket, we're just going to get exhausted reading more self-help books and going to the next meeting and all the things. It's just going to feel like, okay, I'm still doggy paddling, but where's the joy? Where's the joy? Where's the giggle that I used to have? Where's the sexiness I used to have? Where's the drive I used to have? Where's the trust that other people are good and I'm good? Where's that? Yeah. So um forgiveness really boils down again to self-love. It's very selfish in a way, self-love, but it's actually not. It's really about filling up the bucket, the holes in the bucket, so we can give more with ease, with flow, with grace for people. And we're no longer triggered by, and we can see things from a distance now. We can see unhealthy behaviors very quickly because not only we're not displaying them as much anymore because we've done so much healing. Uh, but if at all, like we're not doing those same things, we're still imperfect. So we're still gonna display some kind of insecurity sometimes, right? As long as we get out of it quickly, okay? As long as we're moving. Okay, said something, didn't mean it that way. Let's go on. So sorry, like, and not ruminating. No, we're moving. We are not the lake. We are the river, right? So forgiveness is about becoming a lake to things and literally, or I'm sorry, a river to things, literally feeling the ebbs and flows and the current of the river, but not sitting at the in a lake, just filling up with unforgiveness and heaviness and all the things. So anyway, I hope that this time together has been helpful. The takeaways today, I would love to hear from you if you would. Write these down. Write these down in your journal or in the binder for our work together that you have, or email to me. What are the takeaways from today's forgiveness videos? What are they? Write them down because it's a different part of your brain that gets activated when you start thinking, what are the bullet points here? Everything is a gift. I'll help you. Everyone is a teacher. There are no mistakes. How can I become better from everything I've ever gone through? How can I turn my pain into strength? How can I ask myself high quality questions for a high quality life experience? How can I become more like a river than a lake? How can I self-love intrinsically so that I can get to the mirror from a motivated, sincere, authentic place and do a high five? Part of this is how. Okay, that's 8. There's a couple more in there. Anyway, um, I hope you enjoyed today's training and discussion and exploring forgiveness and what it really means. And I guess I will also send an attachment to this email, uh, or if I'm in a different program when this video is popped up, go ahead and look in the curriculum for forgiveness activities. Okay. And also remember the sand activity if you want to practice forgiving someone and see if you really have forgiven them, if you've really seen them as a teacher instead of a villain. Write their name in sand. Write their name in sand and see what happens. If you feel resistance, it means that there's probably still something that you haven't seen as a gift yet. So that means there's more gifts under the tree for you for that specific part of them. Even if they did something that is not acceptable, we're not accepting what they did. Remember that. We're asking how, what is the opportunity there for me to grow and learn? I learned so much that I loved, really how much I loved my kids when I realized that I wanted them to see me truly healthy and happy and not just, kind of. Mm-mm. I learned that I loved them so much that I wouldn't take half of what I thought was good and the ups with the extreme downs. Because I wouldn't ever want that for them. So whatever it is, I learned how much I loved my kids. I learned how much I loved myself. I learned that I have a roar that I didn't know. I learned that my weakness is not someone being mean to me. It's them convincing me they're in love with me, or at least that was what it was. And then me focusing just on that rose-colored glasses person, right? No, full picture now, baby. Okay. I learned to see all of the spectrum of them and all of the spectrum of me. If you have a hard time seeing anything that you have in any way negatively impacted your partner or your past partners, really encourage yourself and to see what it must be like for them to feel, you know, maybe unappreciated or maybe not thought about or included or maybe not respected sometimes for what they wanted to do or whatever the thing. But put yourself in their shoes and then see how you have been hopefully a great teacher to them as well, should they wish to alchemize that. Okay. Anyway, I can talk forever because I love helping and supporting you new neural pathways where you start looking at these things from a place of ease and flow because you deserve it. Okay. Alrighty. Well, there's a couple more things deep diving on how the unforgiveness for someone, how it's related to unforgiveness from that we've had as a child. So if you're really stuck in a relationship today where you feel a lot of resentment or resentment towards yourself or both, I, I really want to encourage you to address that in our one-on-ones or in our groups so we can process how it relates to who you were as a child and see if those feelings showed up there. So you can start to rewire that those things that you went through as a child that you had the opportunity to have more forgiveness towards yourself or others, now's the time. because it's going to ripple effect as well with the things that are activated in your life today. Okay. All right. Well, that's a lot, and enjoy and breathe. And I know it's a scary F word, but it's a great word. We're just going to remind ourselves that forgiveness is really freedom. Okay. On that note, ciao for now.